on Sunday, while I was kind of going back and forth fighting with the whole, purging kind of stories from the left and back and right, somebody had texted me like, oh, did you just see Sidney Powell on Maria Bartiromo? She just said all this stuff. And, Sidney Powell I've always paid attention to. I first was aware of Sidney Powell when she started defending General Flynn. She's an author. She's writes some stuff. And the stuff that she really brought out when it came to General Flynn exposed a lot of the Russiagate stuff. You know what I'm saying? She's been always one of those active lawyers pushing for stuff. So she went on Bartiromo to talk about the elections and the stuff she talked about. Let's just take a look. Let's start this off with evidence, what she talks about.
Sidney, thanks very much for being here. We appreciate your time this morning. I want to get right into it. We just heard about the software made by Smartmatic from Rudy, and I want to get your take on what you and I spoke about just a few minutes ago, and that is a gentleman named Peter Neffenger. Tell me how he fits into all of this.
Yes, well, he is listed as its former Admiral Peter Neffenger, or retired Admiral Peter Neffenger. He is president and on the board of directors of Smartmatic. And it just so happens he's on Mr. Biden's presidential transition team that's going to be non-existent because we're fixing to overturn the results of the election in multiple states. And President Trump won by not just hundreds of thousands of votes, but by millions of votes that were shifted by this software that was designed expressly for that purpose. We have sworn witness testimony of why the software was designed. It was designed to rig elections. He was fully briefed on it. He saw it happen in other countries. It was exported internationally for profit by the people that are behind Smartmatic and Dominion. They did this on purpose. It was calculated. They've done it before. We have evidence from 2016 in California. We have so much evidence, I feel like it's coming in through a fire hose.
2016 in California? I'm sorry. You know what she's talking about, 2016 in California, right? She's talking about that primary race. She's talking about that Bernie race that after they started going through it, Bernie started flipping states. We knew something was going on. The numbers weren't adding up when they came in.
Yep.
And also, I don't want to talk about it, but another admiral, well, not admiral, but a lieutenant general of the Air Force, who was number 3 when he retired, talked about they did it in this particular primary where Biden cheated Bernie. And that's where they used this program she's talking about. It's called Hammer and Scorecard. For us, it's just another algorithm programming thing because they all do this. ES&S does this. Hart does this. All the software is proprietary. So, fam, so yes. Anything to say about that?
No, just...
Yeah. She says she never can say anything she can prove. This is a good part right here.
Wow. So, Sidney, you feel that you will be able to prove this. Do you have the software in your possession? Do you have the hardware in your possession? How will you prove this, Sidney?
Well, I've got lots of ways to prove it, Maria, but I'm not going to tell on national TV what all we have. I just can't do that.
Okay, but you have a small time frame here. The elections are supposed to be certified in early December. Do you believe that you can present this to the courts and be successful within this just couple of weeks?
Well, let me put it this way. First of all, I never say anything I can't prove. Secondly, the evidence is coming in so fast, I can't even process it all. Millions of Americans have written, I would say by now. Definitely hundreds of thousands have stepped forward with their different experiences of voter fraud. But this is a massive election fraud, and I'm very concerned it involved not only Dominion and its Smartmatic software, but that the software essentially was used by other election machines also. It's the software that was the problem. Even their own manual explains how votes can be wiped away. They can it's like drag and drop Trump votes to a separate folder and then delete that folder. it's absolutely brazen how people bought this system and why they bought this system. In fact, every state that bought Dominion for sure should have a criminal investigation, or at least a serious investigation of the of the officers in the states who bought the software. We've even got evidence of some kickbacks, essentially.
Kickbacks.
All right. Fam.
I mean, the fact that they're finally differentiating between voter fraud and election fraud, because individuals doing this isn't going to cause much of anything like that. It's, first of all, it's a felony. Second of all, it's a lot of work to do for just one more vote. This is mechanisms. These are organizations. These are the Democratic Party or the Republican Party, whoever, behind people. Yeah. Exactly. These members of the establishment behind this. It is election fraud, and it's about time the right starts using the right terminology, so they don't, so the liberals don't come saying, oh, well, voter fraud doesn't really happen. Yeah, because it doesn't really happen that much. But when you talk about election fraud, now that's a whole other thing that happens all the time.
It gets juicier, fam. I just wanted to show you. Lou Dobbs even made the same correction that night. I heard somebody said, hey, look, Lou Dobbs even said election fraud instead of voter fraud. They're getting away from it. They're learning. They're talking about the software. It gets juicier.
Real quick, Pasa. So
Yes, sir.
I'm watching this, and kind of like my lefty senses are tingling. Like, why are we watching Fox News and everything? So can you explain to myself and the audience, like why we're watching this lady, and what kind of credibility she has and stuff like that?
Well, I mean, first of all, I don't believe in a lot of the ideology when it comes to Maria Bartiromo, when it comes to our foreign policy and stuff.
She's the Fox News.
She's a Fox News person. I once again, she's not like one of my least favorite. I kind of enjoy her here and there. I don't necessarily agree and whatnot. And she was the one who talked about we know that the Smartmatic is located in Venezuela, right? Mm-hmm. That's where we traced it down to. We didn't know who necessarily owned it from there, but we knew the office was there. I don't like the spin that they get, with the Hugo Chavez, and they go back to that sort of thing and everything like that.
Yep.
What needs to be said is the proprietary software, the proprietary ownership. It's really hard to track down who owns what, who does what.
Yeah.
Now, the reason why we're watching Fox is because MSNBC, CNN, they're not going to have these people on. They're not going to have the military people on that are talking against their military people on.
Right.
They're playing the game, like, just keep talking as it's over. Just talk as it's over. So if anything comes about it,
right,
there'll be an uproar from the left saying we got cheated, whatnot. So they're talking about what their game is. What's the transition team? What are we doing moving forward? Let's make it look like he's a donkey. Sidney Powell wasn't invited on MSNBC and CNN to talk about these things. And whether you like it or not, she's one of the lead lawyers in these cases for Donald Trump.
Oh, I see. Okay, she's one of the top lawyers.
She's one of the top lawyers in this case. And that
Trump.
The Trump for this case. He went immediately grabbed her because she had such success in the Flynn case, where she got a lot of things declassified. So we saw Obamagate, Russiagate for what it was, because they were attacking General Flynn. And we showed how that transpired. So once again, they're not talking about this. They're not even talking about it on half the Fox shows. And half the Fox shows, they're saying that Donald Trump is crazy and that he shouldn't be listened to, cutting his mic off.
Yep.
Neil Cavuto. So it is crazy. Like I said, it's bizarro world. Every single time I'm going through this whole thing, I'm like, I can't believe I'm going to play a clip from Fox today and break it down. Because why? The left is not talking about it, because the left, especially the MSNBC and CNN, who are tied to people like Clapper and Brennan, who are Obama and Clinton loyalists within the State Department, within the intelligence community. And she'll talk about it in this next clip. I think it gets juicier. But the clip after, she talks about the CIA and the FBI, and she said, like, Gina Haspel should get her ass fired. Why? Because they protect each other.
Yep.
They don't give the American public, you don't deserve to see the truth, you plebs.
This is the establishment. Again, the oligarchy versus the people. Those are the real lines that are being exposed here, rather than the left versus right paradigm. That's eventually, I hope, going to become irrelevant. Right now, the situation that we're seeing is that there are people on both sides of the aisle who want Donald Trump gone, who want the CIA in. I'm not saying Trump is an innocent guy, but the CIA, the NSA, for some reason, they don't think he's hawkish enough. They don't think he has done their bidding enough, and they're going to get rid of him. And that is what we're seeing play out here.
Yeah.
We are back with attorney Sidney Powell, who's part of President Trump's legal team. Sidney, before we went to the break, we talked about, you said that there may have been kickbacks to some people who accepted the Dominion software. Tell me what you mean.
Well, I mean, we are collecting evidence now from various whistleblowers that are aware of substantial sums of money being given to family members of state officials who bought this software. I mean, we're talking about $100 million packages for new voting machines suddenly in multiple states, and benefits ranging from financial benefits for family members to sort of what I would call election insurance. Because they know that they can win the election if they are using that software. It's really an insidious, corrupt system, and I can't tell you how livid I am with our government for not paying attention to complaints even brought by Democrats, Carolyn Maloney, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, over the last several years in written letters with expert reports and some documentation of how corrupt this software is, and nobody in our government has paid any attention to it, which makes me wonder how much the CIA has used it for its own benefit in different places, and why Gina Haspel is still there in the CIA is beyond my comprehension. She should be fired immediately.
All right. Fam, they watched Convo Couch. Right? No, it's kind of funny because you were the first person like, oh, man, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that Elizabeth Warren, Klobuchar,
Robbie Yeager brought it to my attention. Yeah, MCSC guy.
So I think that somebody said, yo, did you see the Convo Couch? Tell Sidney Powell that the Democrats looked this up really quick because it wasn't on Parler either. You know what I'm saying? Parler and Fox News are following. They're trolling us, fam, to get the left.
I don't really care who gets it, but the fact that it's getting out there is to me the most important thing, because the reality is, again, this has been a long time. Why hasn't this been brought to the attention? Because there wasn't a reason to. Because like I said, the left is very weak on election integrity. Only a few of us were talking about Bernie being cheated. Even some of his supporters to this day still don't believe that he got cheated.
I mean, ridiculous.
They still don't believe that.
That's crazy because this interview was released on yesterday, 15th.
Yeah.
So
we talked about
what
that.
the fuck?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying? She's been watching the Convo Couch. And what she said, she goes, or Robbie. But it's ridiculous because she did say, she says, I can't believe nobody was looking at this stuff. Like, we were the election integrity activists in the background going, yo, everything they're saying is everything we've been saying for the last 3 years, that this software flip shit.
And it doesn't become fiction just because the right is saying it, because we said it way before they did. So you can't just even take that and say, that's a right-wing talking point. No, it's not. Nope. It wasn't a right-wing talking point 6-8 months ago.
And also when Warren and Klobuchar put that shit out.
It wasn't a right-wing talking point then.
DC says, Niko and the three of y'all deserve Pulitzers. TYFYS. Thank you for that super chat contribution. And because I just got in an argument on the Discord server defending what you're doing. I love what you stand for. Thank you for all you do. Mona Carmona with that purple
Thank you,
heart.
Mona. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you. We appreciate all the 500 people that are hanging out over here. We appreciate the 30 viewers on the Rokfin, but we need to get that number up, and there's even 12 over on the Facebook. Fam, we have another part of this video. It's still not done yet. Take a look at this.
Should be fired immediately. You're saying that the CIA is behind the Dominion or Smartmatic voting software as well?
Well, the CIA and the FBI and other government organizations have received multiple reports of wrongdoing and failures and vulnerabilities in this company's product. Their own manual, if you sat down and read it, would explain how and why no honest person would use this system. And it's not just Dominion. There are other companies in the voting machine business in this country, too, that may very well and are likely using the same software. We've detected voting irregularities that are inexplicable and align with these problems in other states that think they have valid systems. But the people who bought the Dominion system for sure knew exactly what they were getting. It should never have been installed anywhere. And we are going to show the public exactly how rotten the entire state is.
Damn.
Damn.
Those are some hefty revelations there. I would watch my back if I were you, Sydney, because she's not, in exposing this, she must know that she's not only going to go after the establishment Democrats, but she's going to go after the establishment Republicans that are also in line. You have to remember, there's a reason why George W. Bush endorsed Joe Biden over Donald Trump. If it was solely on ideology, of course Bush would be endorsing Donald Trump. But it's not about that. This is about the CIA, the NSA, these corporate interests infesting our whole everything in our world. But now our elections are completely 100% manipulated. And if you continue to believe these lies that they're not, just because you hate Trump so much, you're only doing yourself and this country and progressives and anything you ever want to achieve via an electoral system, you're doing that a disservice and you're making it an impossibility.
Yep. And if you allow them to cheat Donald Trump, you're giving them a permission slip to continue to cheat you, because she talked about it. And, this is the video with Tim Canova and Niko. We were beating up on an ES&S machine. Same thing. Software, proprietary. They can flip votes, and they have. So when people were talking about Hammer and Scorecard, which is this whole kind of algorithm program, it's like that's just another program that they've had in all these machines. I don't give a shit what you want to call it. The fact is that we can't look at it. It's not transparent, and our corporations own us and own our elections. How do they fix the machines? Let's take it, Elika. That was Fiorella. Keep your eye on the Spooks Majorca, giving her take. How do we fix these machines?
Now, I have spoken with a few whistleblowers myself this weekend. And one source who is an IT specialist told me that he knows the software and specifically advised people in Texas, officials in Texas, not to use it. And yet he was overruled. He said that there was an unusual patch that was put into the software while it was live, and it's highly unusual to put a patch in there. Is that what you're referring to? Tell me how it's done and how these back doors work.
Okay, that's part of it. They can stick a thumb drive in the machine or upload software to it, even from the internet. They can do it from Germany or Venezuela even. They can remote access anything. They can watch votes in real time. They can shift votes in real time. We've identified mathematically the exact algorithm they used and plan to use from the beginning to modify the votes in this case to make sure Biden won. That's why he said he didn't need your votes now. He would need you later. He was right. I mean, in his demented state, he had no filter, and he was speaking the truth more than once, including when he said he had the largest voter fraud organization ever. Well, it's massive election fraud. It's going to undo the entire election. And they can do anything they want with the votes. They can have the machines not read the signature. They can have the machines not read the down ballot. They can make the machines read and catalog only the Biden votes. It's like drag and drop whatever you want, wherever you want, upload votes. Yeah. In fact, we've got math in Michigan and Pennsylvania, I think it is, that all of a sudden hundreds of thousands of votes at a 67% ratio for Biden, 23% for Trump were uploaded multiple times into the system.
All right. Now, in all fairness, the whole Venezuelan thing she's talking about, Smartmatic, is located in Venezuela. But this is the part that does make me nervous when they start talking about. Yeah. So if they overturn these elections, I'm fearful that we're just going to go. The Trump team is going to go balls out into friggin' Venezuela.
And then I'm going to go attack them like I've always attacked them on that, because stop tying these things to your ideology and your neo-McCarthyism about Venezuela and how Venezuela is the big. No, your own government is doing it. These Democrats and these Republicans and the establishment, the oligarchy, you don't need foreign intervention. You don't need Russia. You don't need China. You don't need Venezuela. You don't need all these people who have far better elections than we do. So it really irks me when they go on that level. But what she said, literally everything else that she's saying about the what is it, like this SIM cards, the USB, we have been talking about that for years now. You can go back on our videos and find Jonny and Pasta and me and Niko and all these people talking about these machines and Canova, all of that. She's literally is repeating what we have been saying for years.
Yeah. And New Hampshire, Johnny's SIM card, he can tell you all about it too. And Jonny, what about the whole part when she talked about the USB cable that can go right in there and stuff? Didn't we talk about a situation right now with accessing ballots in Los Angeles that somebody can go through the back door as long as they've been accessed, or as long as they have accessibility?
Yeah. Well, the tally machines can be accessed. When they said they're just scanning and processing ballots, they run it through the tally machine and it fucking saves the ballot images in a server somewhere. And you're gonna tell me that we're just gonna trust these election officials not to go in there and change things up. I saw a USB on their little. There's a little station over there. You check it out on my Twitter. It's my pinned tweet. There's a USB and Ethernet cable attached there, and I'm like, why is there a USB there? I don't know. You know, things just aren't transparent. That's my main message.
That's the breaking message. We just fighting for transparency. All we're doing is fighting for transparency, and we have zero transparency. We're flying blind, ladies
and why
and
are they fighting you against transparency?
Against transparency. Let's run it out right here, real quick.
And Sydney, you say you have an affidavit from someone who knows how this system works and was there with the planning of it. You believe you can prove this in court?
Yes. We have a sworn statement from a witness who knew exactly how it worked from the beginning, why it was designed to work that way, and saw when things started shutting down and they started, stopped counting the votes here, that was the same play that had worked in other countries.
Wow, this is explosive, and we certainly will continue to follow it. Sydney, thank you so much for your work. We will be catching up with you soon. Thank you so much.
That's
That was it.
That was it.
Yep.
So we have an affidavit signed from somebody who's going to supposedly be a whistleblower on the whole system. Whatever they show, it should be logical for everybody to understand that it's proprietary software. We don't need it. We need open software. We need 100% audits, not this whole audit that Johnny's been trying to hunt down for the 1%. It's just ridiculous. You're not going to find anything. Anyways, 100%. we got to open up the doors and fix our elections, fam.
No, you're 100% right. And I just want to close this segment with this video of Nancy Pelosi, because Nancy Pelosi said that this was the most secure election in history. And if anything, you guys, and if anything, at the very least, when Nancy Pelosi, all it should take for you to question, right, that something was up with this election is for Nancy Pelosi to say this November 3rd election was the most secure in American history, along with the entire CIA, NSA, mainstream media echoing the same statement. Do you not think that maybe, just maybe, these people who have constantly fought against any progressive movement, any progressive legislation, who have admitted in a court of law that they can rig elections, do you not think that if they're all in agreement, there might be a red flag to tell you that maybe the opposite is true, that this election is probably one of the most fraudulent, if not the most fraudulent of our time? Let's take a look at what she said real quick.
That we have. The election is over. Joe Biden is the president-elect, elected with a mandate of over 78 million votes. But don't take it from me. The Elections Infrastructure Government Coordinating Council and the Election Infrastructure Sector Coordinating Executive Committees said in their joint statement, this November 3rd election was the most secure in American history. There is no evidence that any voting system deleted or lost votes, changed votes, or was in any way compromised. It went on to say, while we know there are many unfounded claims and opportunities for misinformation and the process of our elections, we can assure you that we have the utmost confidence in the security and integrity of our elections, and you should too.
Okay, we can just cut it there. Pasta, why shouldn't we trust these institutions like CISA, right? Like these official election people who investigate the elections. Why shouldn't we trust them? Because I get thrown these little tweets like, well, look, these people said that they're specialists and they said that there's nothing here.
Yeah. Well, that's something that the Democratic loyalists keep parroting all the time. It was just like with the Joe Biden stuff. Well, people have looked into that and there's nothing there. What people have looked into what and there's nothing there? And she's lying. These NGOs that are paid off to help the military-industrial complex and the intelligence community get their narrative out there. The fact that she says there's no evidence, well, we can't even look to see what happened because we're not allowed to. It's proprietary software. So basically she's lying to you when she says there's no evidence because we're not allowed to look at the system to find evidence. And that really is a scary thing. They keep on repeating this over and over and over again. There was something else, too, I wanted to say about what she said there that was kind of disgusting. I can't even remember.
I just want to say these institutions that you guys keep throwing at me on Twitter, and it's not just the liberals doing it. It's progressives saying, oh, but they've investigated in these institutions. No, who's investigated? Who are these people? These people are literally bought by the establishment. It is the same thing as saying the 17 agencies investigated Russia and saw that there was collusion. It's the same freaking bullshit. Okay, a lot of people have been trying to frame this thing that we're calling election fraud as the Russiagate. No, the Russiagate narrative is that there was no fraud and that these agencies investigated and there was no fraud. You see, they manipulate these things to manipulate and coerce your mind because they're propagandists. They have set their CIA propagandists in these networks to lie and lie and lie until you finally believe the lie. And you have to fight against that. You have to stand strong, even if it's lonely, and really speak for the truth.
It's really just amazing to see how anybody would support these Democrats. Don't believe what you see, believe us, is their kind of their same message. Don't believe what your eyes, your ears, what you see, believe us. They're lying, we're telling the truth. Orange man bad, just get with it. You know what I'm saying? Even though we don't want to give you anything, you want Medicare for all or Green New Deal, we're not going to even give you anything, but we want you to know, orange man bad, vote for us. I mean, I can't believe the people out there are still buying into this bullshit. And here, a super chat contribution. Thank you for giving us the $2. I wish you would have gave us more. Roberta Wowzers. Accept it, blind Trump sheep. He lost. Sure, Roberta. Whatever you say. Listen to Nancy Pelosi.
We're blind Trump sheep. Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
Voted for the socialists. Voted for the socialists. Voted for the socialists. Yeah. Okay.